Welcome back. The news in full. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi gave a speech on Monday before the G7 summit during a session over climate change, biological diversity and oceans. President Sisi said the environmental issues and their challenges occupy a large part of daily life as the repercussions spread to various fields. The president said highlighting the issue on the political level is an ethical commitment toward the earth and is part of sustainable development. He reiterated climate change is one of the most sensitive issues due to its direct impact on all parties, which needs commitment to policies to counter it. The head of state asserted Africa remains the most affected by the global warming, despite having the least share of gas emissions responsible for the phenomena. He also stressed the importance to provide sustainable finances for developing countries to counter climate change. Egypt has joined the MIDS Charter in belief of the need to preserve biodiversity as a core element to achieve sustainable development.
And on the sidelines of the G7 summit in France, President Sisi met with US President Donald Trump, followed by a joint press conference. During the press conference, Trump said that Egypt has made great achievements under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. He also stressed the president's key role in the Middle East region and reiterated that he is considered an important figure for the United States. Meanwhile, Trump asserted that the Palestinians and Israelis want to reach a deal in order to end all sorts of strife. Touching on the Iranian file, Trump said Iran must not possess any nuclear weapons, adding that an important deal was signed with Japan and expressed hope for a deal with China.
Also on Monday, President Sisi held talks with UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson on the sidelines of the G7 summit. During the meeting, the two sides expressed hope the coming phase will witness effective steps to develop bilateral ties. They also discussed activating cooperation mechanisms in various fields, especially the economy, politics, security and tourism sectors.
Also on Monday, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held talks with French counterpart Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines of the G7 summit. The talks tackled bilateral relations and issues of mutual concern. The meeting also discussed the Middle East crisis.
And earlier, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with German Chancellor Angela Merkel on the sidelines of the G7 summit in the French city of Biarritz. Presidential spokesman Bassem Radi said that during the meeting, President Sisi expressed Egypt's appreciation for the positive development in bilateral relations in various domains of common interest. The president stressed keenness on fostering joint cooperation between Egypt and Germany, as well as consultations over several regional and international issues. For her part, Merkel praised the strong ties between the two countries during the past period, especially on the economic and trade levels, and asserted that Egypt is one of Germany's most important partners in the Middle East. The meeting also tackled means of strengthening joint cooperation in Africa within Egypt's presidency of the African Union and the initiative of the partnership between Africa and the G7.
Meanwhile, the president delivered a speech before the G7 summit on Sunday over counter-terrorism efforts and women empowerment. Addressing that important summit, President Sisi reiterated that ties between Africa and the international partners are of great importance that will help find solutions to the African crises and confront the current challenges. Sisi asserted that the Libyan crisis needs a political will to reach a comprehensive settlement that would end foreign intervention. The president also stressed on the importance of boosting joint efforts to combat terrorism and to enhance Africa's development that is based on integration and coordination with its international partners. And we have with us over the phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to the Foreign Minister. Ambassador Bayoumi, good day to you.
Good day, how are you?
How are you, Mr. Ambassador? The G7 summit Sunday held a session over partnership with Africa, which is very important. The president is representing the African voice at this important gathering, so the importance of boosting ties between the two entities. Ambassador.
yes, I think this meeting is a sort of success for Egypt, for our foreign policy, and for our president. Now we are putting the African Congress on the agenda with the largest group of the world. I call them the board of directors of the world. And Africa is a continent which is complaining that the flow of money going out of Africa to the close to it is less than, bigger than the flow of money coming to Africa. Africa is paying its debt, and Africa is paying its invoice at it. And you cannot continue with this imbalance situation. We have to make a perfect balance between Africa and the main trade partners. This is the problem. Our president is going there with a solution. The solution is the tripartite cooperation between the financial investors coming from Europe, America, and Japan, even China, to invest in Africa with the Egyptian experience. Egypt is a very acceptable state in Africa. Egypt has a huge experience in Africa, and we can use this. And we have a good result with Japan. We are training in Africans in Egypt with the finance of Japan. The Chinese ambassador declared a few days ago that China will invest in Africa with the help of Egypt and the Egyptian experience. Also in Europe, when Sameh Shukri was in Brussels last time, they agree in principle to finance African projects with the Egyptian experience. So I think this is a great success for our foreign policy, and I hope we can do our homework also, because it's not just like that. We have to prove that we are up to the mission. We have to prove that we can also produce and manage and be a good partner for all our main trade partners in Africa, for the sake of Africa, for the sake of Egypt.
Yes. Ambassador sessions also included one dedicated to climate change that was held Monday at the G7 summit earlier. So different policies and strategies needed in order to help contain this phenomena. The president said Egypt has already joined the Met's Charter on Biodiversity. So very important steps undertaken, and a session dedicated to climate change sheds special significance on this area. Ambassador.
As a matter of fact, we have several files on the political agenda also, and on the environment, and on many other issues. Take also the organized crime. We are combating the organized crime, whether it is money laundering, drug trafficking, illegal migration, and terrorism. Also, the environment is of our interest, and we have a problem there because the United States is the largest country doing its effort against the environment, and we have to change this. And changing this by step by step, and I hope that they become a good listener to our advices. Look what is happening in Brazil nowadays, and the whole world is suffering from a fire in Brazil. So this is a sort of a message that the whole world is one unit, and you cannot say that the big fire in the Amazon is some internal problem for Brazil.
Yeah, definitely.
Same
Thank
thing
you, sir.
We are telling the United States it has to make its effort on its industry not to make this pollution in our environment. And I think the United States now is started to be a good listener to what we are saying.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to the foreign minister, reading with us different sessions that happened earlier on the sidelines of the G7 summit.
Israeli warplanes hit the Gaza Strip's Hamas movement on Monday in response to earlier rocket fire from the territory into Israel. A Palestinian security source reported the news, adding that there were no casualties. Israeli authorities also announced a reduction in the flow of fuel to the Strip's main power station, meaning a deep cut in the already rationed electricity supply. A separate statement from Israeli Defense Ministry units said that the latest fuel cut was personally ordered by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is also Defense Minister. Netanyahu is fighting for re-election in a potentially tough general election on September 17th.
Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates renewed a call on Monday for peace talks between Yemen's government and the southern separatists, urging a ceasefire following deadly clashes. In a joint statement Monday, the Saudi and Emirati foreign ministries had urged both sides to cooperate with the coalition committee and attend the talks in the Saudi